Hey guys, and welcome to East Coast Brewing, and tonight is brew night again. And what are we doing tonight? Well, we're doing a Mr Beer Long Play IPA. Now I haven't tried this one yet, so I'm excited to try it, but like every other time, we're not going to just do it straight up. We're going to amp it up a little bit. So what we're doing is we're going to add additional 250 grams of dextrose. We're going to add an additional 250 grams of light dry malt extract. And because I find sometimes these extract IPAs aren't hoppy enough, what we're doing is we're going to add in 2.5 ounces of hops additional. So we're going to do 1.5 ounces of Northern Brewer hops and 1 ounce of Glacier hops. Now I've already got those ready to go in the muslin bag. So everything's sterilized, because that's always important to do. And also, once we get this all mixed up, we'll take a hydrometer reading so we can actually calculate out what our ABV is going to be at the end, how much alcohol is in it. It's funny because this here is supposed to be a session IPA, but their Mr Beer Diablo IPA is the same ABV on their website. So this one comes in at 5.5, and so does the Diablo IPA. Now I've done the Diablo IPA, and if you're interested in seeing that one, check out the link in the description. It turned out amazing. It was really good. So I'm excited to try this one and see what the difference is. But anyways, we're probably going to be amping up the alcohol content with the additional fermentables. So basically it says here, Long Play IPA blends the beloved hoppy flavor in a traditional IPA with a lower alcohol content to create a world-class session brew that you can enjoy over and over again. This beer is perfect complement to late night jam session, a weekend barbecue, or just relaxing an evening with friends after a hard day's work. With its clear caramel color, floral aromas, and signature IPA intense bitter finish, friends will have a hard time believing that you brewed the beer yourself. It says, just like a LP vinyl record, the Long Play IPA brings out every nuance it produces and produces a long-lasting enjoyment, allowing you to rock on. All right, so we're going to do that. But first, we're going to have a home brew as well. So cheers to that. That's a Cooper's Lager. So first thing we're going to do, we're going to get about 4 cups of water boiled up, and we're going to actually boil our hops for about 10 minutes in the water, and then we're going to add in our dry malt extract, our dextrose corn sugar, and then our extract. So we're going to head on over to the stove. Alright, we got the water boiling, ready to go, so we're just going to put this in there, and we're going to let her boil for 10 minutes, and then we'll add in the rest of our stuff. Okay, so we've had our 10 minutes of boil time for our hops. I've actually taken the muslin bag out and set it aside so that we can mix everything up. And we're actually going to put that back in when we put it into our keg fermenter. So first things first, let's get our dextrose corn sugar mixed up. That stuff dissolves nice and easy. Now, the dry malt extract, a little bit of a different story. You got to be careful with it. I mean, it mixes up well. It's just that if there's a lot of steam coming out of your pot, it sticks to the inside of the bowl. So we got lucky there that time. All right. Next up, let's throw in our Long Play IPA pre-hopped malt extract. Looking forward to this. Like I said, the Diablo IPA was amazing. Check out that video, it's a good one. You gotta be careful with this stuff. It's really sticky and thick. Now what I do is I boil up a kettle of water to get the rest of this out. So we'll get as much as we can like this, and then we'll pour in some water. Just finished boiling this up, so it's super, super hot. There we go. Give it a couple stirs, let it loosen up. You know, it's probably a perfect opportunity. Have a little brew. There we go. Nothing like a home brew on brew night. All right, that's good enough. Now, like I've said before, don't be an idiot and pick it up with your bare hands. There we go, pretty good, hey? Alright, we're gonna mix this all up. Give it a good stir. We got our dry malt extract, we got our dextrose corn sugar, our malt extract from the can. Okay, I'm gonna stir this up for a little while. And then what we're going to do is we're going to actually dump it into our keg fermenter. Now, what you want to do before you actually dump this into your Mr. Beer keg, you want to fill it with cold tap water, if your tap water is of good quality, otherwise use bottled water. And you want to fill it up to the 1 gallon mark before you add this in. You don't want to add this in hot into the keg fermenter. All right, let's go do that. All right, we're ready to dump this in. I always have a challenge getting it from this pot into that smaller opening on the keg fermenter, but we'll give it a shot and see what happens. Oh yeah, perfect pour. There we go. And we're going to add our hot bag, fusion bag right back in there, and we're going to let that ferment with it for the entire 3 weeks that we're doing this. Now, I'm just going to cover this up here. Before we actually put in our yeast, we're going to take a hydrometer reading so you can see where we're at. Alright. Might have to let it settle down a little bit. It's kind of hard to read when you first pour it. She's looking pretty high up. You know what? I'm going to let this settle down, and in the next section of the video I'll tell you what it came out at. Alright, next thing to do, get your yeast, add her in. Easy peasy. Give it a good stir. Actually, you know what I just realized? We still need to add, we need to top up the water up to the 2 gallon mark before we take our hydrometer reading. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. But basically what we're going to do after this, we're just going to let it sit for 3 weeks and ferment, and then we'll be back to do the bottling and the taste test. We'll see you soon. It's been 3 weeks and now it's time to bottle this stuff. It's gonna be good. I took a sniff of it. It's awesome. It's awesome smelling. And the hydrometer, I tested that out too and had a little taste, and it tastes awesome. Once this is bottle conditioned and carbonated, it's gonna be amazing. So we started off with a gravity reading of 1.064 and we ended up at 1.008. So what's that mean? I haven't done the calculation yet. So when we go to do the tasting, I'll tell you what the calculation is, but I think that's just over 7%. So it's definitely going to be a big beer. It's going to be a big IPA, and it's going to be awesome. So we're going to bottle it up today. So we got all our bottles sanitized and ready to go. We're using Mr. Beer carbonation drops that came with the kit. You've probably seen in my other videos. I use these quite a bit because they carbonate your beer perfectly every single time, and they're just easy to use. So when they come with your kit, why not use them? But you don't need these. You can use dextrose, or you can use cane sugar if you want. I wouldn't recommend that. Get some dextrose. It's cheap. Grocery stores have it. Beer stores have it. So we've got these all in our bottles. Actually, I got one more left to do here. So yeah, I'll show you how easy these are. Instead of having to measure out your dextrose, you just, for this size bottle, you just use 2. You're good to go. But before we get started, gotta have a home brew, right? Now this is a Mr. Beer Jalapeno Lime American Lager. Check out that video online. It's already online, so check the channel. It's actually a pretty good video. It's a little bit long, but it goes through the whole process of what we did to brew this beer, bottle it, condition it, tasting it, all that good stuff. So check that one out. It's actually turned out really, really good. Alright, so we're just going to fill up our bottles here. Always double check that I got 2 of them in here. Let's go ahead and start filling these up. This is actually a new spigot on this Mr. Beer keg that I got here, so I'm kind of just gauging how it works. It actually doesn't fill too fast. There we go. And as you've seen in my other videos, I like these PET bottles because what I do is give them a little squeeze, get most of the oxygen out, up to the bubbles there, they're foaming. Then I cap them, keeps the oxygen out, and then boom, we're ready to go. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to fill all these up. I'll be right back, okay? Alright, it has been 2 weeks. So maybe a little bit early for this IPA, but hey, let's give it a try because I'm dying to try it. I felt the bottle, it's nice and firm, so I'm guessing it's going to be pretty well carbonated. So it's going to be pretty well carbonated. So let's give it a shot, you know. Couple things about this. Long play, Mr. Beer Long Play IPA. What do we got here? Yes. So yeah, the Mr. Beer Long Play IPA. So this is what it's supposed to be, right? Featuring a rich caramel color and floral aromas, Long Play Session IPA delivers a variety of hallmark hoppy flavor in a lower alcohol content, which we talked about earlier, and it isn't. Drinkable session brew, perfect for IPA enthusiasts who want to extend their enjoyment of this world-class beer with an intense bitter finish. All right, let's take a look at this and see. Now remember, we added the 2.5 ounces of hops, so let's see how that changed things. One thing we do know is we actually we started off with a specific gravity of 1.064 and it finished off at 1.010. So I did the calculation and this one comes in just slightly over 7%. So it's definitely a big IPA. So it's gonna taste good too, I'm hoping. Oh man, this is on there way too tight. I gotta stop doing that. Didn't give a lot of fizz off of the open there. All right, maybe it isn't quite fully carbonated yet, but There's definitely some carbonation in there. Pretty much zero head though. I'm thinking it's going to have to condition a little bit longer, but beautiful color on that. It's definitely that caramel color that they're talking about. A little orangey in a way, golden. It's got some nice bubbles on the glass there, so I'm thinking it's somewhat carbonated. I'm definitely getting almost a bit of toffee. Not a big hop aroma or floral aroma like they're saying on the box there. And remember, we put in those Northern Brewer and Glacier hops. They're not typically going to be very aromatic, if that's the word I'm looking for. But I'm not really getting much hops at all. A little bit. Well, let's try it out and see what, take it for a spin and see what happens. It's actually got quite a bit of carbonation, not gonna lie. Probably could use just slightly a little bit more, but it's got quite a bit. And I imagine over the next coming weeks here, if they last that long, it'll have a little more carbonation in it. Mouthfeel, it's got a great mouthfeel. Very smooth, intense bitter finish, just like it says. But I gotta be honest with you, I think those Northern Brewer hops made it even more bitter. It's very bitter. I like bitter. Zero citrus on this one. Not very much citrus in this IPA at all. Getting a little bit almost caramelly sort of toffee flavor right at the front. And then just an intense bitter finish. Not a lot of hop flavor that I typically like in an IPA, but it's a good IPA. Don't get me wrong. It's there's nothing wrong. It does taste really, really good as a beer. It's a very good beer, and it tastes amazing. But very bitter on the finish. You know, Mr. Beer has the Diablo IPA, and if you haven't seen that video, I did one of those, and I'll put a link down in the description. But I think I like that one better. It had more of a hoppy flavor to it, and I was really hopeful that this one might actually be a little better than the Diablo. But right now, I would say I probably like the Diablo a little bit better. There's more hop flavor, more hop aroma. I can't remember what we added in. I added some hops into that, but I think, you know what, I'm gonna do this one again, because I do like the flavor. Don't get me wrong, but I think I would add different hops. I would use it as a base, and I think I would probably add Centennial and Mosaic, or one or the other. Maybe just Centennial. So you know what? Maybe I'll do another video of doing the long play IPA with just Centennial hops. I might even try those cryo hops. I don't know if you guys have seen those, but they're basically double the potency of a regular hop, and they're called cryo hops. I've been watching a few reviews on those, and they're getting really good reviews, so maybe I'll try those with this. We'll see. But I do have another long play IPA right here waiting to get brewed, so we're gonna probably do that one up eventually here. So overall, I think it turned out amazing. It's great. It's got a little bit of cloudiness to it. Now I don't know if that's just how this IPA is supposed to be, or if that's because it really hasn't conditioned for more than 2 weeks. So yeah, it's pretty good. I would definitely, like I said, I'm going to be brewing it again. I do like the Diablo a little bit better, but let's give that next one a shot with some Centennial and or Mosaic hops, and see if it turns out better than this one did with the Northern Brewer and Glacier hops. definitely worth doing though. Definitely worth doing. It's pretty good. That's all I really have for you. You know what? This was a pretty long journey for me. For you guys, it was, you know, how many minutes this video is. But you know what? I appreciate you guys taking the time to, you know, watch this. If you guys like, comment, subscribe. Let me know if you've done this one. I'd like to know if you've added anything different to it. And let me know what you think, you know. And as always, we'll talk to you next time. Cheers.